guys, it's 681 Shadow. Welcome to another video on Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle, and Dokkan Global is coming to a very interesting time here because we know we're in between the anniversary and the $300 million celebration, but tomorrow, I know I'm a bit late on the news for this, but tomorrow we are getting the Super Dragon Ball Heroes cards, every single one of them that's dropped in the game so far. On the Japanese side, they're all coming to Global, and I wanted to do just sort of like a breakdown of them. I'm probably not going to spend as long as I would normally do on breakdown videos like this on cards because there are a lot of cards, as you can see here. So I'm only going to focus on the Dokkan Awakenings and ultimately showing how units can do and stuff like that, at least based on what I can get from their passive. Yeah, I'm only going to focus on the Dokkan Awakened version. So so the first card it looks like we're going to be looking at is the Super Saiyan 3 Teen Gotenks here. So if we can get him open up there. Leader skill, tech type Ki +2, and attack and defense 70%. That's pretty good for Dokkan Battlefield. He raises his attack for 6. He stacks attack for 6 turns, which is pretty nice. Attack 100% when performing a super attack. So he's just a generic hard hitter. So that's decent. It's okay. I mean, comparing to some of the other heroes units, there's a lot better stuff there. So I mean, he's decent even if you do pull him. Then next up is probably one of the best units on the banner, is this Super Saiyan 3 Xeno Goku. He gives Super STR Ki 3 and 70%, which is good, and his super attack causes immense damage. I actually didn't know that before this, and he has a medium chance of stunning the enemy, which is pretty nice actually. And his passive skill gives attack and defense 80%, and he has guard against all attacks. So basically, he works like Janemba, plus an additional attack 30% when performing a super attack. So that's very good. Yeah, that's very good. And because he gets that additional attack, that multiplies in, I believe. It multiplies into his 80% attack and defense. So that works out pretty well there. So yeah, he's probably one of the best units you can pull off of this banner, although he is unfeatured. Then there's Super Saiyan 3 Xeno Vegeta, who gives Super Fizz Ki 3 and then 70%. And then his super attack also does immense damage, which I think is very interesting. The Dokkan Awakens will be pretty good, the two Super Saiyan 3s. And he also greatly lowers defense, and that's pretty solid. Then passive skill, he gets attack and defense 80%, and he disables enemy guard, plus an additional attack 50% when performing a super attack. So he would probably put out a little more damage than the Goku, but the Goku could be much better defensively. I think much better all around. Then next up, we have probably the best support unit. The best support unit on on these summons, the Supreme Kai of Time, Power of Time Unleashed. That's a very long name. Can't wait to see how that looks in game. But she's a 70% lead for Super Attack. Super Attack is the Ultra Time Judgment, which causes supreme damage and seals Super Attack. She's a sealer. That's really good. And passive skill, she gives all allies keep to and attack and defense 20%, and chance of performing critical hit plus 7%. And also she has a great chance of an additional attack 20% for all allies, and another great chance for an additional defense plus 20%. So she's a very good support. She can get up to 40% support, which is really good for things like Realm of Gods and Time Travelers. So she's very good as a support if you have those teams. Like if I get her, I'll run her on Realm of Gods. Then we have Super Mirror here, who's a 70% lead for Extreme STR. Super Attack greatly raises his defense and causes supreme damage to enemy. So he's very good defensively because he has that defense stack. So he could be good for that Legendary Goku event for when that comes to Global. Then his passive skill gives attack 100% and disables enemies' guard. Attacked enemies attack and defense minus 20% for 2 turns. So he does debuff with his attacks, which is very good. That's very solid for Super Mirror. So he can be interesting. Very interesting defensive option. And then we have Demiga in the Makioka form. I guess that's what they're going to call it. Okay. And hopefully I pronounced that right. I haven't played Super Dragon Ball Heroes yet, but leader skill is Extreme Fizz Ki 3 and HP attack and defense plus 70%. Super attack is greatly raises attack for 1 turn and causes supreme damage, so that's alright. And then Dark Ambitions, attack 120%, Extreme Cast allies Ki 3, all enemies attack and defense minus 20%. So he debuffs attack and defense from the start, which is very nice. So Demigra could be decent. Then next up we have the Dark Mask King, who's 70% lead for Extreme Int. His super attack causes immense damage to enemy and lowers attack and defense. And then the lowering attack and defense is very nice there. And then passive gives 80% attack and defense, additional defense 70% for 4 turns after receiving an attack. Oh, and he recovers 10% of damage dealt as HP. That's actually pretty nice that he gets some HP back. So he can be an interesting option because he is on the, I believe he's on the Vegeta family team, so he could be an interesting option there. Then next up you have the Black Mass Saiyan, which is a 70% lead for Extreme AGL. His super attack is immense and lowers attack and defense. His passive skill gives attack and defense 90% when ki is 6 or more, which will always happen if you're running him on a normal team. Plus an additional attack and defense plus 30% when ki is 8 or more, and ki plus 2 when ki is 10 or more. So you only need 10 ki to super attack with him. So that's pretty good. Then next up, yeah, so he could be another interesting Vegeta family option there. Then next up is Baby Janemba. So Baby Janemba, he gives AGL ki plus 3 and 80%. Super attack causes supreme damage and massively lowers defense. That could be solid. Passive skill, he recovers 10% HP and attack and defense plus 80% at the start of turn, and high chance of evading enemies' attacks, including super attacks. So that could be pretty solid, giving him some dodge, wouldn't hurt him as well. So he could be a very good defensive option, and he does get 80% attack and defense. So yeah, Baby Janemba seems like a pretty good option for teams that he would be on. So then next up, where were we? Super Saiyan 3 Trunks. So Super Saiyan 3 Trunks is 80% lead for AGL. Super attack causes supreme damage to enemy and raises defense by 30% for 9 turns, so that's solid. He does get extra defense, which is nice. And he gets attack and defense plus 100%, disables enemy's guard, and high chance of guarding all attacks. So he's very good defensively. He's the defensive Super Saiyan 3. When we get to Gohan, Gohan will be a lot more offensive, if I remember correctly. So yeah, Super Saiyan 3 Trunks is very good, and he is featured. So you can definitely keep that in mind. Super Paikuhan, right now, probably the worst of the Super Dragon Ball Heroes characters because he only has one category. He's only on the Rivals category, which is only on JP right now. But he's a 60% lead for all types. Super attack causes supreme damage to enemy and greatly lowers attack, which is alright. And then his passive here is ki plus 3 and 80% stats. Launches an additional attack that has a medium chance of becoming a super attack when facing only one enemy. And launches an additional attack that has a high chance of becoming a super attack when facing 2 or more. So he'll be good on like Super Battle Road and stuff. He just doesn't have any teams. That's his biggest issue. But he could be a solid unit once he gets the Rivals category and once he gets like a more proper team down the line. And then another great unit who is also going to be featured, Darkness Toa right here. And Darkness Toa is an 80% lead for AGL. Her super attack causes supreme damage to enemy and lowers attack, which is very nice. Lowering attack is actually very nice. And she's a very good support for Extreme Class because she gives Extreme Class allies ki 3 and attack and defense 30%. And then she gives Extreme Class allies attack and defense 50% and recovers 100% HP once you get under 30% once only. So she can be a very good support if you get down that low because she'll just heal you back to full and then give you the extra buff, which is really nice. So there's Darkness Toa. Then next up we have Super Saiyan 3 Gohan, another featured unit on the upcoming banner. At least to what we expect. Yeah, I'm going based off of the banner that JP got, by the way, when I'm talking about what could be featured. So then the Super Saiyan 3 Gohan, he's 80% lead for int types. Super attack causes supreme damage and raises attack for 9 turns. Yeah, so he's more offensive while Trunks is more defensive. And his passive gives 100% attack and defense, plus additional attack and defense 60% when performing a super attack. So he'll do very good offensively. Plus, he's a pretty good link buddy for the LR Super Saiyan 3 Goku. So if you have LR Super Saiyan 3 Goku, then if you get this Gohan, that is not a bad pull whatsoever. Then next up we have Boo Babidi, who seems pretty solid as well. 80% lead for int. Super attack causes supreme damage with high chance of stunning, which is very nice. And then his passive skill, he gives defense plus 80% and then all allies defense 40% when HP is 81% or more. And recovers 5% HP at start of turn, and all allies ki 3 attack 40% when HP is 80% or less. So that attack boost could stack with big bad bosses, and you would be overall more defensive at the start of battle when your HP is full. So he can be pretty solid as a sort of utility unit. And of course, only one key link because you know how they like to make Boo cards, no key links whatsoever. So then next up we have this Beat who Dokkan awakens into Great Saiyaman 4, which is going to be very solid. So I'm actually not too sure what he does because I haven't looked at the free to play cards at all. So Great Saiyaman 4 is a super class ki 2 40% lead. His super attack, Kamehameha, raises attack and defense and causes supreme damage. Alright. And then passive skill gives attack and defense 50%. Superclass allies key 2 and defense 30%, and youth category allies attack 30%. So that's actually pretty solid. So he could be a 30% support for super type youth characters, which would be pretty nice. And attack and defense 50% from himself is pretty nice. So I mean, he can be a decent option. I'll have to see how he'll work. Then we have Great Saiyaman 3, who's going to be another featured unit on the banner if we get the same banner that JP had recently, or most recently. So he's an 80% superclass lead. Super attack causes immense damage to enemy, raises superclass allies attack by 25% for 1 turn, and his passive gives him attack and defense 17% and chances of performing a critical hit +3 per time traveler category ally on the team. And then defense minus 30% within the same turn after receiving an attack, and counters with tremendous power upon receiving normal attack. So I think the best spot for him would probably be that middle spot, because you can get his maximum attack off with a super, and then he'll get hit. And sure, he'll lose defense, but it's honestly not too terrible how much defense he loses. So that is definitely pretty solid. And he's one of the featured units, so he's definitely a solid one to get. Then probably the best. Should I say the best of the featured units? Well, one of the best. We have Silas here, who is a transforming unit. He's an all-type 70% lead, which is pretty cool. His super attack Skybreaker Dance causes immense damage to enemy and greatly lowers defense, which is solid. Then passive skill, attack and defense 100% when performing a super attack. He gives a key vote +1 and attack 20% to artificial life form category allies, and the same thing to time travelers. And then he fuses with aims when conditions are met. Conditions are just 5 turns from the start of battle, where he becomes Fused Silas, which is probably the most anime thing I've ever seen in Dragon Ball. So there's that. So his super attack becomes immense damage to enemy and massively lowers defense. Then his passive skill becomes key +3 and attack and defense +60%, and then attack and defense +120% when performing a super attack. So he'll be really good in like the second slot, because those two multiply into each other. So Silas can hit for some major damage. So he'll be pretty solid there. So if you get Silas, that's definitely a really good card to get. And next up, we're almost done here. I know we've been powering through all these. Next up, we have Ames' third form, which is, I believe it's when he fuses with Hit, Goku Black, and like some of the other villains. So he becomes a 40% extreme class lead. Super attack causes extreme damage to enemy and lowers attack and defense, which is all. And Ames is also free to play, by the way. He's from the same event as Great Saiyaman 4. Then passive skill gives him attack and defense +50%, and he gives sort of the same support buffs as Great Saiyaman 4. He gives extreme class key 2 and defense 30, and then artificial life forms attack +30%. So that could be pretty solid. And then now we have the last 2 featured units from the banner. Xeno-based Goku, who's a 90% lead for Goku's family. His super attack stacks attack, it causes supreme damage to enemy. Then passive skill, he gets 77% attack and defense, and he gives key 2 and attack and defense 30% to Goku family allies. So he can be pretty good for the Goku family team. And then the Xeno Vegeta is just basically the same, but for Vegeta's family, and he stacks defense, which does make him a little better for things like the Legendary Goku event and that kind of stuff. But yeah, so with that, that's all of the Super Dragon Ball Heroes units that Global's going to be getting tonight, actually, or tomorrow morning, depending on your time zone. For me, it'll be in the morning, but yeah, I'll probably do 1 summon on it, because I only have 50 stones right now. If we hit Top Grossing somehow for Super Dragon Ball Heroes, then like I'll take that. But like, we do have the 250 million download celebration coming up, so like, even though these units are good and I do recommend summoning on them, I wouldn't use all of your stones if you have like a few hundred. Like maybe do a few multis on it, and then save the rest of your stones for 300 million download celebration. Although I think we will get probably a sizable amount of stones for that celebration. So, anyways, that's going to be all for this breakdown. Thank you all for watching. Remember to rate, comment, subscribe, and share, and I will see you all next time.